I'm going to get our session started. And I also want to remind you that there's several sessions going on at TCNJ just like this. And we also have a Lions Day series. And the next one of those will be November 21st. And that's where all of our departments also have Zoom sessions. So plenty of opportunities, we hope, to ask your questions and hear more about TCNJ. At this time, it is my true pleasure to introduce Mary Lair Furtado. I've worked with Mary for, oh my gosh, I think it's 5 years now. Come on, 6, see? And, and she is our coordinator for undergraduate advising. She is such a gem to our school. So I'm going to pass this over to Mary.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So as Tammy has said, I am the coordinator for undergrad advising for the School of Business. So I advise the undeclared business students until they go formally into one of the business majors. I also advise a lot of students who want to change their major, who might come in under, say, like accounting, and they decide they want to do marketing, something like that. So I work with them and I oversee our peer mentor program within the School of Business. Every incoming freshman student has a peer mentor that they're matched with, and the peer mentors also play a role within the transfer students and their seminar, which Tammy instructs when they enter TCNJ. So that's a little bit about me and my position. I'm going to pass it over now to our first panelist, Nicole Tampon.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you. Just to introduce myself, my name's Nicole. I'm a recent graduate, so I just graduated in May of 2020 in a very weird way, but happy to see everyone here right now. So when I was in TCNJ, I came in as an open options major, but I actually finished with a marketing degree, so I decided to pick marketing as my major. And then right now, what I'm doing right now is I'm currently working as a contractor for Johnson & Johnson, which I'm working in supply chain, which has been awesome. So nice to meet you all. Thank you all for coming.
So now we will pass it over to Sarah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah. I am a current senior at TCNJ. This is my last semester, so I'm very sad by that it had to end this way, but I had a great time so far. My major is marketing, and I am getting a minor in communication studies. And yeah, right now I'm still at TCNJ. Yeah, so that's really it for me right now.
All right, we'll move along to Eddie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eddie. I'm actually a transfer student here at TCNJ, so this is also my last semester. Sad, but I can tell you from day one, it's been a really good time here at TCNJ. Even in my short 4 semesters, really felt like it flew by. But I am a management major, really having a lot of fun with that. Currently working in human resources at Novo Nordisk, a pharmaceutical company here in Jersey. A lot of work doing both, but I'm glad that I can still be a student at TCNJ and represent at the company.
Okay, thank you, Eddie and Nicole and Sarah. We have a couple questions just to kick things off, but like I said, put anything in the chat box at any time. But let's start with something fun. And if you could tell us, what was the best thing you've done in the past 4 years? Or a little less than that for Eddie.
Who's starting?
Yeah, you can start.
Nicole, go for it.
Oh God. Okay. So I really loved TCNJ. I was definitely one of those students, like loved everything about it. But I gotta say, like a lot of the things that I really liked was through the involvements that I had on campus. So I did a lot of different things, and being able to get involved and like be part of the different events on campus by being involved. I was on the track team when I was in school, so I absolutely loved being part of the team, that team environment. I felt like I had a family going into like college, which was an awesome like kind of feeling. So whether we got to go on trips together, I went to San Diego with the team for spring break to go compete out there, which was awesome. So I was able to really get to know a lot of different people, being one of the biggest teams on campus because we were a joint men's and women's program. So being able to travel and just do that on the team, as well as just meeting other student athletes at the college, it was I really like that part of my experience. So that's just one out of a million.
Yeah, I mean, my answer is kind of similar. It's the student involvement for me that really made TCNJ so special. On campus, I'm the president of Lions Television, which is like the campus TV station, and that's where we produce a bunch of different shows and a lot of content for Lions Television's YouTube channel. And I joined that as a freshman, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I loved working with my peers to create videos, and it was a lot of fun, but it also was helped me with a lot with professional development. I got to learn a lot of camera terminology and just how to work with other people to create like to work towards a common goal together. And that was a skill that you work on in class, but when you work on it in a club, you're really passionate about it. And, it was a deeper connection. Yeah, and I absolutely loved the involvement I had on campus. I was also a videographer for TCNJ's marketing, communications, and brand management office. Yeah, so I got to go to a lot of amazing events like Funival, Welcome Week, Commencement, Homecoming, and I got to film these events for TCNJ social media and their website. And it was such a great experience. And yeah, I loved it. If you have any questions about it, let me know.
I guess that, I'm next. And I'm just going to preface by saying that I am much, much less involved than Sarah is and Nicole was. But nevertheless, if you're someone that's more so looking to just kind of feel your way around it, at first, that's definitely how I was at first. I was a little bit shy as a transfer student. You just don't really know what to expect. But I can tell you that definitely, I hope it doesn't sound too lame, but even just being in the classroom at TCNJ was really eye-opening. I mean, you experience this work ethic and working in groups almost constantly, being in constant communication with your professors, getting to know them to an extent is really, it's really beneficial overall because there's a lot of insight, that's exchanged in having just like a smaller school. Definitely a transition for me overall, but a pleasant one at that. So I'd say that, and then more specifically, probably just my involvement with peer mentors, like Mary was saying, it was really cool to be, kind of a freshman to TCNJ, but a junior overall, and then later a senior overall, and still being able to, assist the freshmen or the freshmen in any way that they can, and feeling kind of like a role model in that sense.
Yeah, going off that real quick, the student body at TCNJ is so special. Like all the students at TCNJ are very driven, very smart, and it's a lot of fun to work with such like-minded people who are very accepting and open to everyone they work with. And we got questions in the chat. Yeah, just the student body is really special, and they're very smart.
Thank you so much. And if you have watched some of the videos from TCNJ, Sarah was probably involved with some of them, at least something that you saw, like the Lion Strong one. So Sarah was hugely involved in that kind of stuff. So you probably saw something she worked on. I'm going to ask one more question from our list, and then maybe we can bounce around to the chat a little bit. So keep those questions coming. We are going to visit the chat to answer some of these questions. But Eddie, this was a nice little segue into academics. So were there any classes that stood out to you all that really helped you? Whoever wants to take this one first, something that was maybe memorable, and how did it help you?
Can I kick that off a little bit?
Yeah, go for it.
So I just gotta say that my major is management, so that's a little bit general. You get a little bit of exposure to this and that. But taking my specifically HR class was really special to me because I got to take that while being in an HR role at my company, and it was really cool seeing how directly they're connected. They're being able to apply those concepts immediately was really, beneficial to me as a professional. But it just goes to show that TCNJ is doing a really good job at keeping an eye and keeping the curriculum fresh. And then another class I just want to mention is like organizational behavior and strategic management, which I felt were really important to corporate in general. So, it's not always the case, but as a business student, you kind of see that down the road. You kind of realize that's going to be 9 to 5 in the future, but those give you a lot of information about what it's like in corporate, and not necessarily, all organizations, but they give you a lot of insight that you wouldn't expect, a lot of things. And additionally, I guess I'll throw out there that the reason I mentioned these classes are because they weren't necessarily the easiest. And I think having that challenge was really beneficial. I feel like I've used that like 10 times just in this little tidbit, but it really helps you because it gets you thinking about your priorities. You figure out your time management, which is going to be for the rest of your life, and really equips you, I would say, to be a professional.
Yeah, I guess going off Eddie, I think there's a lot of classes that I really enjoyed through my time at TCNJ, and I think an interesting part is like, and I what how TCNJ like business kind of works in the beginning is a lot of people the first 2 years it looks a lot similar to different majors. So marketing, finance, like you're taking whatever major you are taking classes in finance. Like I was marketing, I took classes in finance, I took classes in accounting, I took classes in management. So you kind of get a taste of a lot of different things. So you get exposure into different areas of business. But for me personally, I think my favorite class, especially towards the end, I took it with Eddie. It was Management 499. And I absolutely love this class. So it's that senior year. Pretty much that class that hones in everything that you've learned. And my professor, Professor Peterson, she was an incredible professor. She really, really challenged her students. So I really, really enjoyed her. I still talk to her. She really wanted to work with us, especially like I took this during my senior spring, which was just this couple months ago. And when everything was moving towards online, she really took the time to meet with students and say like what are your plans, like how have they been impacted, like let's work together to kind of figure out what you can be doing right now to set yourself up to be successful when you graduate in May. So she really took the time like outside of just like that core curriculum of what we're learning, whereas like in the class we were learning case studies, we were doing a lot of hands-on experience presenting, working with teams on like company projects and things like that. So I absolutely love that class. And I think what I've found a lot with all the classes are made by the faculty and the teachers and all the professors. I think everybody is really willing to help you. I think that's the perks of going to a smaller school is they know you, they want to get to know you, they know when you're struggling, they know when you're doing really well. And it's really, I think I've loved leaning on them to help gain my success in college. So.
Yeah, I'm actually in Management 499 right now with Peterson. And I really do love the class. It's challenging, but in like the best way possible because you get to read these cases and you're taking things you learn from finance classes, marketing classes, management classes, accounting classes, and you're putting it all together to like understand like a full company. And it's one of the most valuable classes I think I've ever taken. But another class I really enjoyed was a social media marketing class I took with Professor Dwan. And the reason that class was so much fun is that the content we were learning was completely updated. Sometimes in high school, like your textbooks are from like 2004 and you're like, none of this is relevant anymore. But Professor Dwan took the time to update all of her course information so it was relevant to what's going on right now. And especially with social media marketing, that changes like every single year. As new apps come out, all the strategies change. So she did a great job of keeping everything relevant and up to date. We even had a unit on TikTok and how to do marketing on TikTok, it was really fun to talk about that in class. And it made me look at TikTok a little different. So yeah, it just opened your eyes. Just great. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I'm just going to answer this real quick question in the chat about AP credit. In terms of AP credit, because this probably impacts a handful of people in here, if you take an AP exam, depending on the score that you get, it may or may not transfer. It could transfer as an equivalent course, which could be a requirement. So within the business curriculum, you do need to take a statistics course. So the AP Legend gets updated every year. So if you just literally Google TCNJ AP Legend, it will pull up the website that shows you the scores that you would need, and you would abide by the legend for the year that you're matriculating to TCNJ, that you're coming to TCNJ. It normally doesn't change too much, so you could look at this prior year and it probably would be the same. I can't guarantee that, but it usually doesn't change a whole lot. So yes, we would take AP credit for the statistics exam if you got the minimum score that was required for it to transfer.
Along the lines of quick questions, someone had asked about average class size. And Eddie jumped in, thank you. You know, the largest class he was in was about 30. Statistically speaking, the average class size in the School of Business is 27. And what you'll tend to see is maybe your first 2 years, a class might edge up to 30, but then when you're junior, senior, especially senior, then they're gonna be more like 24 or less. And some of the capstone classes are even capped at 18. So, but on average it's 27, and the rooms in the School of Business aren't that big. So we couldn't have huge classes if we wanted to, and that's not our style. We want that smaller feel where everybody can interact. So thank you for these questions. These are great. Do we want to go with our questions, or we want to?
Can I answer one of the questions in the chat?
Yeah,
I think the first question says, as a current student or recent graduate, did TCNJ help you get your current jobs, and how? So I have a story that I could go into. So when I was a sophomore at Lions Television, I was the game show producer. So I was making a lot of fun content for the game show. And there were 2 seniors who were the videographers for TCNJ Video, the marketing department. And they saw all the effort and hard work I was putting in at Lions Television, and they recommended me for the TCNJ Video job. And then I ended up getting TCNJ Video job, and I've had that for a year. And then I got in contact with an alumni who had graduated from Lions Television, who worked at NBC Universal for Sci-Fi and USA, the TV channels. And I reached out to her, and she knew one of the people that recommended me for the TCNJ Video job. So then I ended up getting my internship at NBC Universal that I'm currently at right now. So everything kind of stemmed from being a part of Lions Television and devoting my time towards a club that helped me get the TCNJ Video job, which then helped me internship at such a big company. And it's been just amazing. If you put in effort at in a club like that, any professional club, and you network at those clubs, it really helps you in the long run, because you make these connections that last for a long time.
Yeah, I can definitely build off that, Sarah. I also can thank TCNJ a lot for where I am too, with where I'm currently employed as a recent graduate, and also when I was interning and co-oping. So in when I was at TCNJ, I ended up interning for 3 companies, 3 different organizations. And the first opportunity was working at the New Jersey Devils. For all you guys are sports fans. I was able to go to a networking event at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, and TCNJ paid for me to go, and it was awesome. I got to see a game after too, so I got to go network with all the different individuals for different teams. It wasn't just the Devils that were there. There was a lot of different organizations. Jets, I think, were there as well, a bunch of other different things. So through that, I was able to get my internship. So thanks to TCNJ for supporting me and being able to fund me for going over to that. That doesn't happen every time, but that did for that. It was awesome. And then also my internship experience at Johnson & Johnson. I was interviewed on campus. I was interviewed by TCNJ alumni. It's a huge network, J&J people with TCNJ. I was able to really get to know people from that company who had similar situation as me, went to TCNJ and now looking to get a career at J&J, and they helped me a lot. So the interview process, I still talk to the 2 people that interviewed me at work. I ping them, I message them on Skype, and I just check in every once in a while, meet with them. So TCNJ helped me a lot on getting to where I am at Johnson & Johnson now too.
Yeah, when I was interviewed by NBC, I was interviewed by TCNJ alumni as well. And that connection and just being able to talk about the school really helped calm my nerves right in the very beginning. And it's amazing that really in so many fields you will find TCNJ alum.
Eddie, did you want to jump in on that at all, or there's no pressure?
Yeah, I mean, another thing that I like about the classes at TCNJ is a lot of the times there'll be the guest speaker. The guest speaker is almost always an alumni, and you get to see kind of the progression of things. It's not always, a Nicole situation where you get to work for cool J&J, but there's sometimes a couple steps in between. That's okay. Some people don't. Some people change their mind, but you kind of get to see an example of a success story, if you will. And those people are usually very open to, giving you their business card, giving you information about their recruiting process. And there's always someone from a company on campus. I found there was always, someone from Deloitte. There was always this and that. And then obviously the career fair, which I thought was great. Just seeing the amount of professionals that are there, the different companies of all different industries. And it's great to get your name out there. And if not, just shake a couple hands and practice your, your professionalism with them.
We also, in terms of professional preparation, I'm just going to add, we start within the curriculum. We have our Business 99 class, which is an orientation seminar. So there's one for all of the freshman students, and then there's also one for transfer students. For the freshman students, they move on to another class called Business 100. And within that class, we go into a lot more detail with like resume writing and elevator pitches. We do mock interviews. And then for the transfer section of 99, which Tammy can speak to this a little bit more because she instructs the class, but she incorporates some of those professional development elements into the transfer section of 99, so that if you're a transfer student and you're transferring in and it might be fall of junior year, right off the bat, we want to make sure that you feel prepared and you really build yourself up so that when it's time to apply for internships, you feel ready to do so. So those are things that we do within the curriculum that are built in. And our students, our current students, our peer mentors, they work with the new students in terms of getting them professionally prepared. So they might do presentations and share their stories. They'll do the mock interviews with the freshman students and with the transfer students. So we're very fortunate to have such a supportive student body and so many like supportive alumni out there. So just gonna throw that in. Do we have another question in the chat? I'm just scrolling up.
Yeah, we did get one in. It said, I realize this depends on your high school, but generally, how was your adjustment from an academic perspective from high school to college? Does anyone want to take that one first? Nicole?
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take it. Okay, so I think coming from high school and going to college, a lot of it's time management. You're gonna hear that. I'm sure you've heard it so much, but you kind of have a lot of free time. You feel like in the beginning, you're like, oh, I'm not in class, like, whatever, 7:45 to 2:45, whatever it was for your high school. It's all day. But whereas like some classes, I would have like 2 classes on a Monday and one class on a Tuesday, and then it's really irregular. So getting used to like when you're getting your work done. I think there was some nights where I was staying up till like 4:00 in the morning, which is not good. You shouldn't do that, especially when I had like 6 a.m. lift the next morning from being a student athlete. Like that was the kind of thing that you learn the hard way. I think in the beginning I was like, oh, I really can't do this. Like I need to make a schedule. So what helped me was picking a time that I wanted to actually go to the library, sit down and get my work done, because then I was like be able to get it done in the middle of the day. So if my friends, like we wanted to hang out at night, watch a movie, hang out, or do whatever the heck we wanted to do, we were able to do that because like my work was taken care of and I could do it that way. So I think but in terms of like actual workload, it's different. It's a lot of reading. I think getting used to like when you're going to fit in like reading the text, because that's definitely an important part. A part of the business school is like all the reading that's associated with all your classes. So just staying on top of it, staying ahead, and being aware of the assignments. So I think it's manageable if you manage your time well, and then you add student involvement on top of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. The key to college is to read the textbook. Like in high school, you didn't have to read the textbook. The teacher would kind of just tell you everything. But in college, the textbook is your best friend. Like you should really read the chapter that you're going to go over in class before the class, so you know what the teacher is talking about. The textbook is a lifesaver. But also a difference in high school to college is that in college, the courses are much more specific, and I was able to take classes that I was genuinely interested in, like social media marketing. At my high school, there was only one marketing class and one accounting class. And that was just not enough and too broad. So I really liked college because I could learn about all different facets of marketing and management and things like that. So that's why college is best.
Yeah, I'll keep it going, and I'll say that I graduated from a high school that only had 78 kids per graduating class. It was very small. So you can imagine that there wasn't a lot of AP classes. There wasn't really a lot of classes anyway. It was a pretty standard trajectory throughout. But I found once I got to TCNJ that you really could get passionate about these classes. And that was really pivotal sometimes for me, because if there was times where I was unsure about what I wanted to do career-wise or what I wanted to study, I could always take the classes and power through it. And then at the end of it, I really would find myself really genuinely interested in the material. So in that sense, it's like Sarah and Nicole said, you got to manage your time and do all that. But once you're in it, you really just want to get it done. And you might want to keep going on that. And then additionally, I mean, getting a minor is also really helpful, because then you can kind of broaden what you're studying and you feel really well-rounded.
Thanks for putting a plug in for minors. It really helps you craft a more unique path. Did you guys mention, did you take a minor when you were at TCNJ? No,
I
Nicole?
didn't.
My minor-
No.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I did communications as a minor.
That makes sense. For anyone that's not aware, a minor is typically 5 classes in an area that's not your major. We often suggest that you do it just like Sarah did, something that's non-business. Mix it up a little bit. It also creates a unique story for you to talk with an employer. They might say, hey, why did you pick that as a minor? It's just great to mix across campus. We really encourage that. I think we're up to date with the questions in the chat, although there is a question that says, is it easy to transfer from the business school to the general studies? And I'm curious if what you mean is it easy to switch majors? At TCNJ, we are a liberal arts institution, which means everybody has to take a certain amount of liberal learning classes. If any of you have older siblings or you're used to language used at other colleges, sometimes you hear this as your gen ed, your general education classes. At TCNJ, same concept, we just call it liberal learning. And basically it means everybody needs to do some history, some math, some worldviews, lab science. Nobody gets out without a lab science. Common things. So of course, if you were to change your major, a lot of those things go right with you. Certainly by the end of your sophomore year, we prefer that you're in the major you're going to be in, because we'd hate to see you change your major once you're in your junior year and now all of a sudden things don't fit the same. So that's a little bit of general, some general items that come to mind for that question. That's what you meant? Okay, great. And change your major. I don't know, Sarah, Nicole, Eddie, did any of you change your major? Raise their hands. No? No, Eddie? No, you're all good. All right, so these guys happen to just know what they wanted and they stuck with it. I changed my major 3 times in college. Mary, I don't know if you did. Say, okay. So please don't think there's anything up with that. Sometimes it takes time to figure out what you really love. All right. Keep it up with these questions is awesome. And we want this discussion to be what you need it to be.
There was a question about the finance major, I think back, I don't know if we hit on that, but in terms of the freshman and sophomore curriculum with business, it's very similar across the board. So microeconomics, macroeconomics, you'll work your way up to calc, or you'll start in calculus, statistics class, and the intro level business courses. So an intro accounting class, financial accounting, intro to management principles, marketing principles, finance, all that. So it's pretty much very similar across the board. The one major that is about like kind of out there would be the economics BA at a lot of schools, which is the Bachelor of Arts. At a lot of schools, it might be housed in the social sciences. So that doesn't have the same business core to it that the other business majors do have within them, but it still requires microeconomics, macroeconomics, a statistics course, calculus. So it's still kind of similar early on. So a lot of students change within business, like starting out in one business major and then changing to another one as you get deeper into the curriculum. So it's very similar early on. And then once you start getting more a taste of the classes and seeing what you like, then some people kind of change around a little bit.
Can I say something? If you're out there and you're like a marketing or management, you're into that, and hearing the words like econ and finance scare you, trust me, it's okay. And I'll tell you why it's okay, is because they scared me too. But the trick is, I'm giving you all the hacks today. It's like Ned's Declassified. This is your college survival guide. I'll tell you right now. So know what you do? You go to the tutoring center. The tutoring center is amazing. I didn't understand economics at all. I go to the tutoring center and I was matched with a tutor who had the same teacher as me. So he knew the exact language she was using. And when he was able to tell me it again, it all sunk in. And then I just understood it so much more than I did just by sitting in class. So that really is the key. That's the second key today. First was, what was my first key? I think it was
Read your textbook.
read the textbook. Read the textbook. Go to the tutoring center. We'll see if any more come up during this time.
And even going off that, Sarah, like I think a lot of people going to the tutoring center, it's not even like if you're doing like so poorly, you're like, okay, I need to get a tutor. Like I know people that have gone because they're like, I'm a B student and I want to be an A student. Like it's one of those things at TCNJ, like people go, like it's not like, well, I need a tutor, like I don't know if I want to talk about that. It's like, no, like I'm getting a tutor, you getting a tutor, let's get a tutor together. Like it's very open that way. I was a tutor. I tutored marketing and management courses and I got to meet people and it was fun. I became friends with some of the people that I tutored, and I had a tutor for accounting because that didn't make sense to me either. So it's a really good environment in the tutoring center.
Yeah, for sure. And also at the tutoring center, if you write an essay for any class, you can bring it there. I guess the writing center, and they'll read it over for you. They'll proofread it for you, which is amazing because I always end up like missing things because I've read my same essay like a million times. So getting a second pair of eyes on it is always the best call.
You can even submit it like online. There's like a portal. You can be like, submit my paper on this major. Like I want someone to look it over who's familiar with this, like this major that I'm in, and then they'll read it over for you. It's really nice.
I'm seeing a question, the latest question about advice for someone who wants to pursue business but doesn't know exactly what they want to major in. So for that, you can come in undeclared business. So every school you can come in undeclared. As Nicole, we used to call it open options. So if you hear open options business, that's what it is. Nicole, do you have any advice?
Yeah, so I came in as like, I guess, undeclared business, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Yeah, like you, I really thought I wanted to be in business, but it took me a little bit to kind of decide. So as Mary was saying, like those courses you're taking, like you're taking classes in econ, accounting, finance, marketing, management, you're taking all those classes. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a taste, and you have to take an upper level class in any of them. So you're not like wasting your time, if you're thinking of it that way, by taking other courses in different areas across the business school, because you're going to have to graduate. So I think like what really made me discover that marketing was where I wanted to be was I started, connecting with different faculty and like professors and stuff throughout the business school and just talking about things that interested me. Mary was my advisor, and I kind of was talking to her like, oh, I don't know, like maybe I like this or like that. So I took some classes that I thought would be interesting across different areas, and eventually like marketing was really something that I thought was going to be the best fit for me and like where I wanted to be. So I chose to pursue marketing. So
Oh, Nicole, I remember when you were a freshman in my office. Another thing too is sometimes it's internships or any kind of experience. Sometimes you could do like volunteer experience early on. Sometimes there might be some companies that are hiring for interns. And like early on in your academics, I had two students who swore up and down they wanted to do human resources. They both did internships in HR. And we have a lot of students who go into HR. It's a great field to go into, but it wasn't the best fit for these two students who did this. And then one became an accounting. She's at PwC now, accounting major. And then another one is going to be graduating in May with finance. So sometimes you just need to put yourself out there, keep an open mind, try things on, see what you like, see what you don't like, and kind of take it from there. So that experience can help a lot too.
So also throw in there that something I noticed, especially at TCNJ, more so than like at my community college, was that a lot of the professors at TCNJ have had a lot of experience out there. A lot of them, worked lengthy careers, very successful careers. Definitely don't be scared to ask them about their career. And a lot of the times they'll throw in little tidbits about what they did at this company, what they did at that company. It can be really insightful, especially if it's one of those classes you weren't really sure about. You get a little bit of a feel for, how they went about it, how they enjoyed it. And I certainly, as someone that is currently working in HR, I could say it is a cool field. But I also work sometimes on the recruiting side, and I do see a lot of resumes come in, and I can say that, you shouldn't necessarily have too much of a long-term orientation. It's okay to have pivots. I work with a lot of people. I work people in Canada, people all over North America. And I can tell you, not everyone ends up where they think they're going to be. So I see a lot of that. People trying to get jobs at Novo that maybe were working somewhere else completely different. It can happen. This is definitely the first step, getting that exposure, and then you are committing to a degree, but really it's going to be your work ethic, your networking, all that. It's really going to ultimately affect the trajectory of your career.
One last little tidbit on that is even like our alumni have come up a lot. So we're big users of LinkedIn. So we require that you have a LinkedIn account, and then we will encourage you to connect with alumni if you have an interest. Like I actually had an advising appointment earlier today with a student who's a sophomore and mentioned an interest in supply chain. So Nicole, you might be getting a message from this student who says, oh, I know somebody who's right now working in supply chain. So Tammy and I will try to connect you as well. If you see that we're connected to someone on LinkedIn, or you have any kind of interest, if we know somebody, and you can do that on your own too when you're a student. You don't need to go through us. If you see a TCNJ alumni and you want to connect with them, you can shoot them a message and do what we call like an informational type interview. What does your job look like? What are some of your favorite aspects of your position? What are some things what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into your field? Things like that. So we have really great alumni base too. Did we get all the questions? Tammy, did we get all the questions in the chat?
I think we're caught up in the chat, but I thought we were caught up in the chat the last time. So I apologize if anyone's missed out, but I really do think that we are caught up. But whatever's on your mind or whatever you're hoping that we're going to answer, by all means, please jump that in the chat box. We were going to touch on advice for college hunting. So if I could ask our panelists, is there a piece of advice that you would give these students about their college search?
I think this one was really big for me because as someone that went to community college, it kind of gives you that buffer. Obviously, the community college that you go to is the community college that's within your county. Maybe not everyone's familiar with Raritan Valley Community College, but that's also for Somerset and Hunterdon counties. So I basically had to delay that decision for 2 years. I took courses at the community college and I just kind of thought about it, and there wasn't any light bulb moment, I would say, when I was like, yeah, definitely TCNJ. But I would definitely say that take into account everything that you're hearing from everyone else to an extent, but definitely sometimes it's okay to go with your gut. I live very nearby Rutgers, New Brunswick, and I can't tell you how many of my friends go there, and some of them like it, some of them don't like it. But for me, there was always something about TCNJ, and you might not always be able to put a finger on what it is that you like about that school. But that's definitely what should drive you to do your research, to talk to people that go there, to attend these kinds of sessions. And for me, it was really helpful. Sometimes, and I'll admit to it, I just drove past it. I went on campus, I saw what it was like. Did it feel right? Reading about the programs and all the different offerings that they have, that was definitely very important for me, just because at that point, the time it was, I was already a student. I already knew what college was like, but I really needed to zero in on what the rest of my college career was going to look like, where I was going to take my hard classes. So definitely a lot of information out there. You just have to go get it.
I think my advice would be, like, if you know any high school graduate that goes to TCNJ from your school, if you just like DM them on Instagram and ask, hey, how has your experience been at TCNJ? How would you describe like the culture there? How do you like your major, your classes? That really goes a long way because you're hearing it straight from the source. So don't be afraid to send someone a DM that may be a year or two above you and ask how they like TCNJ. Because I mean, if they go to TCNJ, they probably really love it. So they won't be annoyed if you ask. They'll be totally fine to answer these questions for you. That's what I found the most helpful when I was doing my college search.
I think for me, what was really important was the community. So like looking like, is this a community I want to be a part of? So I wanted to feel like the things that I could get involved with was something that met my passions and something that I wanted to really see myself. So I remember like learning about like the student athlete environment, and I met the team. So I had the opportunity to kind of learn about the TCNJ that way. So, and I was able to talk to students, and I was like, I like these people. I like this environment. I like this smaller school field. I liked, and it's not even that small. I don't think it's like a really small school. My siblings go to smaller schools, and um, I think that we have like just this right community. So when I was looking at schools and I think I applied to 10 schools. So I was like, what I really wanted to see was what are these people like? And like, is this something that I could see myself getting involved with? Will I like being like getting involved in the student athlete environment? Do I want to get involved in these clubs? Like, what do they have to offer? Like, I can see myself doing that. So I think just like through those experiences, like that really helped me pick TCNJ. Um, and just like it doesn't always have to be like this it feeling like, oh, I walked on campus and I knew immediately this is the place I want to be. It doesn't happen like that for everyone. Like I know when I came to TCNJ, I was like, I love this place, but I loved other places too. So you just had to really just use the people that are around you, like what Sarah was saying, like reach out to students, like send emails. If you go to these sessions, keep going and keep seeing at all these other schools, like do you like what they're saying? Do you think you can see yourself there? So you trust your gut, like Eddie said too.
That's great. Thank you. Thank all of you. I think one of the things that's so special about TCNJ also is because we're a small to mid-sized school, but because our classes are small and we actually get to know our students, like I'm sitting here looking at Sarah, Nicole, and Eddie, and I'm like, don't go, like, just stay close. And luckily we already have plenty of alumni events that as soon as we can get together, you guys better be at these events because we miss you so much, and we love following your journeys. So it's a tight-knit community. I think we're at the end of any of the pre-written questions that we had ready for everyone. So if you have any questions you want to put in the chat, or please feel free to unmute yourself. And that's okay too. You can turn on your video, you can unmute yourself, just ask whatever's on your mind. Also, I'm going to ask Sarah, Nicole, and Eddie, and Mary too. If you guys don't mind, put your email in the chat box. If anyone here wants to follow up with any of us, maybe we said something and you're like, "Ooh, I'd actually like to hear a little more about that." Just drop us a line. I'll put mine in there too. If anyone's a transfer student, wants to talk about the transfer experience, Eddie can talk about that from the student perspective, and I can help you with that from the staff perspective. Also, I got really excited this week because I've been going to campus. I'm on campus Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I ran into a campus tour. So you know what I did, right? I jumped right in the middle of that campus tour and I was like, hey, what are you guys here for? Of course, one of them was a business major. It was really exciting. So a reminder to you all that if you can come to campus, there are some small tours going on. Of course, everyone's wearing a mask the whole time and staying distant. It's a nice way for you to get to talk to a student and walk around campus. TCNJ is beautiful in the fall. Well, beautiful in every season. Any more questions from anyone? Or for our panelists, Sarah, Nicole, Eddie, you guys have any tidbits?
I think maybe it could be helpful if the three of us talked about all the stuff we were involved in, just to give you a sense of like the community. Because I know all of us are different. We did very different things.
That'd be great.
Okay. Eddie, you go first.
Well, for me, it actually involved Nicole and Sarah as well. Nicole was the president of the peer mentor program, and that was like my first breakthrough into getting involved on campus, doing more than just having my head inside of a book. And my co-mentor was Sarah, and so it was very cool experience, especially like I said, as a transfer student, you don't really know what you're doing, and my first 2 years were just quite literally studying, taking tests, going home, repeat. TCNJ really made me want to be on campus. And once I was assigned those freshmen to basically just be there for them, right? I could answer on topic or off topic questions. I could be there for them. And then we also had our weekly meetings as well. It really made me want to just be there. And TCNJ tends to have that. So even though that was the only thing I did, I'm glad that I did it. and I wish I could do it forever, but I have to move on eventually.
You can come to Business 100 in the spring, Eddie. I'm going to hit you up for Business 100 to come to class.
Happily.
For me, I kind of talked about it, but I was a peer mentor, as they both were. And then I was involved with Lions Television, got involved my freshman year. Then my sophomore year, I had my own show. I was the game show producer. Then junior year, I was the vice president, and now I'm the president. And just if you come to TCNJ, you should really join Lions Television because it is amazing. I had the opportunity to interview Kiki Palmer and Brother Nature. So if you know them, I got to hang out with them because I was involved with Lions Television. So that's definitely a reason to come to the school. We have like awesome celebrities and musicians that come to the school, which is great. And then I was also a videographer, as I said, for the marketing office. And now I'm currently a research assistant for the School of Business. And I'm helping Professor Dewan, who was the teacher of the class I mentioned before, the digital marketing class. So yeah, that's been my involvement.
Sarah, you just talked about research assistantships. So could you just explain what that is real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was different in person because mine's all remote. So I've just been helping Professor Dewan do some literature review for social media influencers. Her study is about how the use of influencers impacts the viewer's willingness to buy and like the different criteria that go into that. So we sent out a survey at the beginning of the semester. Right now we're still going through the data, and I've been helping her, reading a bunch of articles in influencer marketing and social media marketing to help her out. And it's been a great connection to work closely with her. And I'm happy that now I get to I get this experience, and she is now like a reference on my resume. So it's a great way to work closely with faculty and make those connections.
And you get paid just a little, right?
Yeah, you get paid, so it's great.
Thank you.
And for me, for like some of the things that I was involved in, as they said, like we were all peer mentors for the business school. So we got to talk to all these first year students and in the School of Business, which was really fun. So I really like being part of that. And then, as you guys probably know by now, I was on the track team. So I was a student athlete. I was also involved in Greek life. So that was another fun part of being at TCNJ. Was an orientation leader. So I worked with the student, like Office of Student Transitions, mouthful. And then I also worked for the Office of Leadership, which I helped coordinate some events on campus for pretty much everyone. So it's fun.
Thank you. We got a question about study abroad. And so the question is, did any of you study abroad? And maybe if you didn't, but you had a friend who did, you could also volunteer that or what you heard about that. I don't.
Yeah, I did not study abroad. Really, honestly, the only reason I didn't was because of track. Track being a multi-season sport. Like there was really not a good opportunity where I knew I wanted to study abroad unless it was over the summer, which I wish I did, and it's a huge regret. So, but a bunch of my friends who have gone have absolutely loved their experience. I know a big part of like the School of Business is going to Heidelberg, Germany. So I know a lot of my friends had gone to Germany and studied abroad there. You can study abroad for over a winter session, you can study abroad over a summer session, which is a few weeks long, or you can go for a whole semester. So I think that's like the one thing I really wish I did at TCNJ that I didn't. So definitely start looking early and see if you can go abroad, because I pushed it off until I was a senior and I was like, oh, I really can't go now. So I don't know if you guys knew anyone else.
No.
I didn't know. I don't. Not off the top of my head, I can't remember anyone that did.
There are plenty of opportunities to go abroad, and we often say, talk with your advisor, because the earlier you even tell someone I'm thinking of going abroad, the more they can help you build in when might be the best semester and what classes you might want to take while you're there. Maybe more general classes, or maybe you go to a business school abroad and you want to take something in your major. But there are 50 something countries that you can study in. And we have an awesome office of global engagement, and they'll be happy to talk with you more about that. You could even write them now and say, hey, I'm just looking at TCNJ, but tell me what's available in Italy or something like that. And they'd be really excited to talk with you. There was another question. Is there something about the academic side of the school that you really enjoyed? Oh, if somebody wants to jump in.
I know we already touched upon it, but I like the fact that, like, even though I was a marketing major, I didn't take strictly marketing classes. I had to take management classes, accounting classes, finance, all that. And I think it just helped me become like a more well-rounded businesswoman, I guess. But yeah, it helped me be more rounded. And now I feel like I have a better understanding of the whole side of business. And it's not just, I know everything about marketing and nothing about anything else. I feel very well-rounded in that sense.
I think for me, it was definitely a little bit off-putting at first when I first got to TCNJ, because there were the two things I was most scared of as a student in general. There were group work and presentations. And, there was certain periods in the semester where you'd start to see everyone come in a suit, right? And then you realize, oh, it's getting to that point where everyone's doing the presentation, everyone's doing the group work. But I really like that, just because I really like the student body. I just think everyone offers such, different backgrounds. Everyone's from all over. Definitely opened up my eyes to the value of that. And now as a professional, I feel so comfortable. I mean, just to disclose a little bit, I have a meeting with my vice president of the department tomorrow, just him and I. And if I can get through a management 499 presentation in one piece, I feel totally confident. It really gets you out of that comfort zone in a really good way.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you guys. I think just being in classes, I know we talked about like that small school feel, but that community of like getting to know people in different majors that are in your courses, especially like later in the last like 2 years of school when you're in your junior or senior year, and able to really learn from other people. Like people have internships, learn what they did. You get to know your classmates. So you're like, oh, like I really like I remember somebody had co-op at J&J in one of my classes, and I was like, oh, I'm really interested in that. Like, tell me about your experience. Like, I want to learn more about like what you did, because I was interested in applying. So you learn from your classmates too, which I know isn't like it's like really a cool experience, because I think everyone is really in a community together. That's the specialist part about TCNJ. I think it's like the community. So you feel that in your classes.
So we're starting to near the end here. Oh, we just have another question in here. Did anyone not know that they wanted to study something in the business field? And if so, what changed your interest? Were you ever thinking you might go away from business? Nicole's like, yeah.
Yeah. I remember talking to you, Mary, in the very beginning. I was like, oh, I kind of want to be a physical therapist. So I'm like way out of like not business at all. And I was like, because I love sports and I liked getting involved in the athletic piece of it. So I was like, oh, I'm going to completely change and go into the health industry and like work that. So, but after talking to Mary, talking to other professors and things at TCNJ, I learned that I really liked business, but I also wanted to bring in that kind of side, which is what led me to my first internship at the Devils. So I learned that like working, what's it like to work in sports, like stay in that sports industry, and then also working at Johnson and Johnson. It's like I'm in the health field. It's just in a different way. I realized that I'm not going to be very good at chem and like all the science stuff that I didn't really want to do. And I was like, this is not the best fit for me. And like business is like where I want to be, where I can hone my skills in. So it was a good balance. So I think it's really cool to have like those interests in different areas, and like if you want to stay in business, like hone those interests into like your major. So picking up a minor in other schools like we talked about before, if you want to really like learn about a different area. And if you're like, no, I actually just want to be a physical therapist, I could have just done that too. But yeah, I think it's completely normal to want to change your mind. And if you do change your mind, as Tammy and Mary said, they switched majors several times. So just taking classes, as we're a liberal arts institution, you just are able to see different areas of the school to kind of look at your different interests.
I think something worth mentioning about business in general too is that it intersects a lot of different other types of work. There's a lot of industries out there, and being in business kind of puts you in a position where you can sometimes, and especially later in your career, kind of choose what industry you go to. I know a lot of people that, they work in business, they do one of the, main business roles, accounting, finance, etc. But the industry can really be the differentiator, between where you ultimately end up. As an example, I have one of my friends, she's also an HR professional, but she works at Shiseido in Cranberry. And one of the things that she always brags about, her decision to go there is that she gets a little bit of makeup at a discount price. One of my direct colleagues worked at L'Oreal. And so, that was her whole thing. And sometimes she misses that. For me, I have close friends that have diabetes and they use the Novo Nordisk products. I work in HR, I sit at a desk and I do what I have to do, but ultimately I can feel like the work that I do trickles down into, the pharmaceutical industry. And so if you just devote yourself and you specialize in one thing, you'll ultimately find that you're gonna, find out about a certain industry. You'll learn a lot about things you never even thought you would. And a lot of that sometimes just comes from osmosis, and especially within the school business, you're going to talk to people like the Sarahs and the Nicoles of the world, and you're going to find out, oh, so that's what you're doing in marketing? Okay, cool. Might give that a shot.
We are blessed with some of the most generous students and alumni connections I can imagine. Like Eddie, when you're just talking about alum that work at L'Oreal or other pharmaceutical companies, gosh, J&J, the School of Business is never going to run out of Band-Aids. We've got all that. Like if there's an organization or a fundraiser, our alum have been so wonderful at making the connection with their company. And then before you know it, we have this great resource. And everyone here, Sarah, Nicole, Eddie, if you were to say, it was like they've mentioned before, can I just call you up? Can I ask you about your company, your job? Everyone says yes. Everyone wants to be helpful. It's one of these places where anytime you ask for help, you're going to find somebody that is very happy to help you. So if you all come to TCNJ, I hope that that's your experience from start to finish. We are at the 8 o'clock mark. I know we started 2 minutes in just to let everyone have time to settle so we don't have to go right on this minute, but we do need to wrap up. If you have any final questions, what I'd like to encourage you to do is to use the emails that everyone shared here. Email anyone or everyone on the panel with your question. Mary, do you have any closing comments? Or Sarah, Nicole, Eddie, anything you want to put in before we go?
Big thank you to everyone for coming, and thank you to Sarah, Nicole, and Eddie for being with us. It's very good to see you guys.
Yeah, I just want to say, I know the college application process is very stressful, and especially now with COVID, but just take everything one step at a time, and what should happen will happen. And just take it one step at a time, breathe. Don't try to do everything all at once. Set little tasks, and eventually it will all work out.
Yeah, don't be intimidated. Don't overthink it. It's for your benefit. And if you're gonna, ultimately decide on this school, well, it's a great choice, or another school. I mean, you're still ultimately just bettering, your prospects, and so you should be proud of that already.
Yeah, thank you all so much for coming and listening to all of us, and really good best of luck in your search, like whether you end up at TCNJ or not. It should feel like home, and just look at the community and get to know the people that you're gonna, like students, faculty, professors, everyone. You want to get to know them, so ask your questions and good luck. So you'll make the right choice, so don't worry.
Those are great words to end on. You're going to make the right choice. Don't worry. So thank you all for joining us. This is the end of our session, and have a great rest of your evening.